trade. And if we do that, then there's no reason why Africa cannot succeed. So part of what I'm trying to highlight during this trip is the enormous opportunities for an Africa that is intimately integrated into the world market. I want small and medium-sized businesses and entrepreneurs and startups here in Africa to see their potential not just in the local market, but to be able to sell goods and services all around the world, and to bring those profits back to Africa and reinvest in Africa and hire Africans. And so as part of that, we want to make sure that the United States is a critical trading partner. And by the way, we're not doing it out of charity. We're doing it because if Africa is doing well, then now we've got a market of people who will want to buy more iPads and Boeing airplanes and all the good stuff that we sell, right? And Africa, by the way, is the youngest continent, which means that demographically, this is going to be a larger and larger share of the world market. So specifically in terms of AGOA, you're right. The current AGOA structure expires in 2015. It is my hope that we get it renewed. Now, what I mentioned to President Zuma today, and I said this at a press conference, is that we will have to engage in some negotiations to find ways to both improve what we're currently doing, but also to reflect on the fact that South Africa is becoming more and more successful. And that U.S. businesses, in order for me to get it through Congress in the United States, U.S. businesses have to feel as if they're getting a level playing field relative to, for example, some of the European companies who are able to operate here, because there's a free trade agreement between Europe and the United States. But I'm confident that with good negotiations that we should be able to get it done. The broader point I want to make, though, is that the future is going to be in creating value here in Africa and making sure then that, like Southeast Asia and China and Turkey and all these other places around the world, that everybody is starting to see the benefits of global trade patterns. And Africa cannot just be a source of raw materials for somebody else. It has to be a source of the kinds of products and services and imagination that is going to be the future of the 21st century. All right? Thank you. So,
we have a young person in Kenya who has a question for you. Kenya, you ready? There we go.
Kenya, you ready? There we go. Kenya, you ready? Indeed. Thank you, South Africa. You are watching us, broadcasting to you live from Nairobi here in Kenya's capital. And indeed, I'm joined by 8 young Kenyans who have come in from 5 different counties within the country. Quite excited. I think I speak for all of them when I say that indeed it's an honor to be able to engage with you, Mr. President, directly during this program. And I'll just get right to it and give an opportunity for one of the Kenyans who is with me here in studio to be able to ask a question to you, Mr. President. Margaret, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Catherine. Jambo, habari yako, Bwana President. We are honored to be with you live today this afternoon from Nairobi, Kenya. Our question to you really is, given the recent shift of trade ties of Kenya to the east, how does this impact on American foreign policy towards Kenya? And does the ICC indictment of our president and his deputy prevent the U.S. from engaging with Kenya both politically and economically? In addition, Mr. President, many Kenyan youth would like to know what are your thoughts and plans on youth empowerment and the devolved structure of governance to Kenya. Thank you.
Now, Mr. President, as you prepare to respond to that question, I'm sure you're alive to the fact that there has been a lot of speculation in the Kenyan media and also in the social media over your reasons for not visiting Kenya on your second tour of Africa. Maybe if you recall in an interview that you did have with this channel, that is way back on 1st of June 2010, you did promise that during your tenure as President of the United States of America, you will be touring Kenya. Well, will you still keep your word on that?
Well, asante sana. It's wonderful to see all of you. First of all, let me just say that I'm going to be president for another 3.5 years. So, you know, one of the things that you learn as president is not only do people want you to fulfill your promises, but they want you to fulfill your promises yesterday. And you know, part of the reason that I wasn't able to visit Kenya this time is I've been to Kenya multiple times, and there hadn't been a sustained visit by me in West Africa. And then South Africa, given the importance of the work that we're doing together. Tanzania is a country I hadn't visited before, so I was trying to spread the wealth a little bit in terms of my visit. But what's also true, I won't deny, is that Kenya just had an election. I was very proud to see the restraint in which the election was held. We did not see a repeat of the violence that we saw in the last election. But with a new administration that's also having to manage some of the international issues around the ICC, I did not think it was the optimal time for me to visit. But as I said, I've got 3.5 years. So if in 3 years and 7 months I'm not in Kenya, then you can fault me for not following through on my promise. You raised the issue of whether our attitudes towards Kenya changed because of Kenya's orientation towards trade and commerce with the East. And this was asked of me before. It's a general question that I get during this visit. People saying, well, you know, China's here a lot, and, you know, is this what's motivating America to want to be more involved? And I want to make 2 points. First of all, our commitment to Africa is based on our belief in Africa's promise and Africa's future, and we want to be part of that future. Second of all, I think everybody should be involved in Africa. I want China, and I want India, and I want Brazil, and I want Singapore, and everybody come on down to Africa, because 6 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are right here in Africa. You are seeing a shift inside of Africa in which a commitment to democracy and transparency is beginning to take hold. Yeah, I just visited Senegal, where President Sall has embarked on a reform agenda, including, by the way, shortening his term from 7 years to 5 years. And a belief that, for example, members who join the government need to disclose their assets. Just basic measures that can help to root out corruption. And so when you start seeing these changes, everybody should be excited about wanting to do business here in Africa and doing business with Kenya. Now, what I said during a press conference today, I want to repeat, which is I want to make sure that as countries come to Africa, that it's benefiting Africans. So if somebody's building a road here in Africa, make sure they're hiring some Africans. If there's going to be manufacturing taking place of raw materials, locate some of those plants here in Africa. And so I do want to make sure that whoever you're dealing with, and as you enter into government and business,